What is going on, YouTube people? We got a spicy one today. Spicy, spicy, spicy. Fanatics Events Orlando. Fanatics Collect, whatever you want to call it, is delayed / canceled / rescheduled / I hope you bought refundable tickets and or hotel rooms to get to this event. This news coming out this afternoon. I saw it first over at Collect SI. I had heard rumblings of this early this morning floating around the ethers of the interwebs. The birdies were chirping. And this afternoon we get official confirmation that the show is postponed, basically. Now, there's a few different layers of the onion to peel back here. They are citing basically the hurricane, or the hurricanes, I guess. Decision has not been made lightly with the region rebuilding after back-to-back hurricanes. We believe it is not the time to host the event. Our priority is the well-being of the people of Central and South Florida, and recognize that there are much more pressing matters affecting the residents at this time. Important to bring this when it is appropriate. Now, on paper, that sounds all well and good. Most people, as soon as they read that, have probably made up their mind one way or the other. Oh, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense. It's perfectly fine down here. And then some people are probably like, oh, okay, I get it. Where do I stand on this? It's probably a little bit in the middle. I am sure that this was a easy way to delay / cancel this thing. If you wanted to buy yourself more time, you could use this as an out if you so chose. Based off the comments and some people I've talked to, I believe there's a massive show going on this weekend today at the event or at the venue where this was. Someone in the comments on this IG post said there's a 40,000 person show happening here right now. There are no issues. And to the best that I know, I don't live in Florida. Comment section could fire off down below. I know the Tampa area was hammered pretty hard. Some people just getting power back and things like that. But I don't think the Orlando area was that jacked up. Like I said, I could be wrong. I live in Ohio. So this feels like a convenient out. I had heard table sales were pretty good based off some numbers that were floating around. It didn't sound like they were at the full 700 yet, but it sounds like it was a good chunk of that. Now, I don't know what ticket sales to the event look like. I could tell you who's thrilled about this, the Dallas show, which is happening the same weekend. The real problem here is that you are trying to establish yourself in the event space, and this stuff takes a lot of planning. And I don't mean from Fanatics, I mean from the people that you want to get there. Not everyone is made of vacation time, cash, airline miles, and hotel points that they could just fling these things on a schedule, no problem. A lot of people have families to contend with, financial issues, the whole 9 yards. And you're trying to schedule these things on relative short notice with little to no details. I mean, Fanatics New York, credit where credit is due. They sling that thing together in fairly quick time. And I think that's where most of their efforts went, and it shows. That event had its issues, but for the most part, went off okay-ish. I think it outshot most people's expectations that attended that event. Overall, Fanatics Fest New York was a pretty good event. I was there. I had boots on the ground. I thought that was a good event. Pittsburgh, which they announced like twice, never said a word about it, and ended up canceling it, was a massive mistake. They had no marketing, no push behind it, never talked about it, and it was a month after New York, and you could tell they bit off way more than they could chew with New York. This is the classic case of they are running before they can even crawl. Then immediately after that, you have this Orlando event, which they say is still going to be going on. And up to 5 weeks ago, we really knew nothing about, other than that it existed. That's a problem. You have to have a lead up time if you want people to come to these things. Here's the other rub. It's not a great time of year for something like this. It's just not. Not for a large show where you need to pull people from across the country. It's a 700 table show. You need to bring people in from across the entire country to pack that building, both dealers and attendees. Early November is not a great time to pack up the fam or do a solo getaway for the weekend. Kids are in school. Expenses are up because we're heading into the holiday season. Time is more of a crunch. If you really want to show that bad, it's the same weekend as the Dallas show, which is a well-established monster of a show that is also that same weekend. You have a lot of small regional shows that weekend. Shout out B Sports Fort Wayne show. So you have show competition as well. And little to no marketing push, lead time, whatever behind this thing to let people know what they're even attending. And now you double down and you cancel this one. And boy, if you want a fun read, go to the comment section on this Instagram post. I can tell you right now, it's probably not a ton of people, but you 1000% burned people with travel. 1000%. There is going to be a decent chunk of people that have a flight, a hotel, or Airbnb booked, maybe even a rental car, that some portion of that is non-refundable. Maybe they could get out of one thing and not the other. Who knows? But I could guarantee you, at least the airlines specifically, are a nightmare to try to get your money back from, if it's even cancelable, that you probably screwed over on this. Not to mention the opportunity cost. What if you were a dealer and you're like, you know what? I usually set up at Dallas, but I'm a Fanatics shop. I probably should go to Fanatics Orlando. They're asking me to go. I'm going to give up my space at Dallas to go to Orlando. And now people like that, dealers, they won't be able to speak up and say anything because they won't want to get blackballed. They gave up the opportunity to go to Dallas to set up at your show, and now this show isn't happening, and now they got to try to figure out travel to get out of this. Maybe they can get to Dallas, maybe they can't, and they probably can't get table space at Dallas because that always goes for a huge premium. So you really screwed those people over too. And now, when you go to run another one of these, whatever the next Fanatic event is, and we don't know what that is yet. Supposedly it's LA, but do you believe that? I don't. Whatever the next thing eventually is, people are going to look at that side-eyed. They're going to be like, are you kidding me? I'm not booking travel for that thing. So what they really should do, the next event out of the books should be something smaller and more regional based, where you are not banking on a nationwide audience to attend to fill the building. Come out of the gates, find a location, put it in a stadium, whatever, kind of like you were going to do in Pittsburgh. Market the hell out of it. Pitch it as like a 200 to 300 table show, like a Philly show or Chantilly or whatever, Nashville, 200 to 400 table show at a decent sized venue, and try to get that off the ground before you start jumping to these 700 table events. It just really feels like they bit off way more than they can chew out of the gate. And as a community, it's in our best, whether you could love or hate Fanatics, it's in our best interest for them to put a great show on, because it puts pressure on everybody else to put great shows on. And the more great shows that we have, that is not a bad thing. So I get everyone wants to tear down Fanatics, but we should be rooting for them in the event space at minimum. Because them putting on a massive monster card show is overall a net positive for cards, regardless of what you think about Fanatics. But this is a bad look, and you really burned your dealers, your customers, your attendees, everybody. You know, when they rescheduled it, or when they announced this thing and I ended up canceling Pittsburgh, I really hemmed and hawed about going to this. I really did. And at the end, I decided not to, because part of the reason was that of that decision was the lack of push they had behind this show leading up to it, and it made me a little nervous about it after what happened with Pittsburgh. Now, I can't imagine many people actually booked travel for Pittsburgh. I know I did, but I could drive. It's 2 hours away from me. But when I booked that hotel, I damn well made sure I spent the extra $20 or whatever the hell that it was to make it that it was refundable. Because I was concerned about the lack of information coming out about that show. Bad look. Bad look, Fanatics. I'm sure you had your reasons, but damn, I hope they were good. Because regardless whether the hurricane stuff is your legit reason or not, it's a bad look. It's a real bad look, especially when other shows are going on down there. And, you know, like I said, I don't live down there, but outside of Tampa, and I know Tampa got hit hard, outside of Tampa, for the most, or the Tampa area, things seem to be okay-ish. Obviously, North Carolina is a whole different bag of cats. This feels like an awful convenient reason to save face. And instead of saying we had to cancel because, you know, dealer tables were down or attendance wasn't looking good or whatever the case might be, and it was going to be a lost leader or whatever, you use this as like your out clause. Like I said, that's why I think it's a little of column A, a little of column B. I think things probably weren't trending in the right direction for the show, which makes sense given their literal lack of marketing and push for this show up until the last couple of weeks. And I'm sure that there probably is some residual travel issues in the state of Florida, maybe not directly impacting it, maybe slightly, plus everything that's going on in the Carolinas and Tennessee. There's just a lot of chaos going on right now. I get it, but that feels like a real easy out for this thing. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Spicy one here. We'll talk about PSA and GameStop tomorrow. This is an afternoon drop. Afternoon drops always mean something crazy is going on. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.